UFC Match Maker Monday is back. Episode 16. We're going to be talking about 3 fights, 3 breakdowns. Let's get into it. Obviously, we had a fight night at the weekend. Not exactly ideal, not exactly many. Pretty. It was a good card. I won't trash it too much. It was a pretty solid card, but there was nothing too exciting about it. But we did have a decent win in the main event. Tatsuya Tura, and I'm going to be mixing him up with Kai Kara France. You could put this on the Australia card. You know, Tira took no damage last night. I feel like this is the perfect one to make, to be quite honest with you. Kai Kara France is coming off that Pantoja loss, and the way Kai Kara France kind of fights, it's almost like he kind of expects big fights to happen in kind of his next playthrough, kind of next matchmaker. I don't think this is going to be the case for Kai this time. You know, he had his chance with Pantoja. He's kind of really sat out and waited the last kind of few years. He absolutely did not deserve that title shot in the first place. So he shouldn't really get like he shouldn't get a Brandon Royval rematch. He shouldn't get a Joshua Van. He shouldn't be getting these big names. He should have to fight down the rankings. And I feel like this is the perfect fight to make. I honestly wouldn't have even minded him versus Kai Asakura, but he's fighting Tim Elliott now, which is kind of fair. Another guy who waltzed into a title shot and Pantoja easily dismantled. You need to be fighting the best fighters in the world before you get to Pantoja's level. You need to be taking out guys like Royval. You need to be taking out guys like Moreno. Taking out Steve Ercik, I know he arguably beat Pantoja, but Steve Ercik just lost to Moreno. You need to be taking out people like Moreno, Royval, even Joshua Van now is going to fight, Pantoja next. They did a cool little face off. That'll be a good scrap. You need to be taking out these guys before you do that. And that's one thing Kai Car France just lacked heavily in his last career, the last, 3-4 years of just fighting the top contenders. I know he, beat Cody Garbrandt. I know he beat Askar Askarov in that fight. But apart from that, he lost to Brandon Moreno. He lost to fucking Royval years ago. He lost to fucking Amir Albazi. You know, he's kind of losing to the top echelon of the division. That's why I did not pick him against Pantoja. And I think Pantoja is probably a top 3 pound for pound fighter in the world at the moment. Um, Tatsuya Tura versus Kai Car France as a matchup itself is extremely interesting. That's kind of why I picked it, because it's a good stylistic matchup for the fans. Um, it's quite hard to predict it because Tura was a massive favorite against Brandon Royval and lost that fight, and I picked Royval in that fight. Split decision as well. Like, he's got nice wins against Alex Perez, Carlos Hernandez, Edgar Chairez. But apart from that, he's not really fought the upper echelon. But I don't know if Kai Car France even is the upper echelon of this division anymore, from being honest with you, bro. Like, Royval is better than him. He beat him. Moreno is better than him. He beat him. Pantoja is better than him. He beat him. Joshua Vanna would pick him to beat him. Kai Asakura would probably beat him as well, from being honest with you. I think Kai Asakura would actually beat Kai Car France now that I think about it, because Kai Car France has a low kick and an overhand, and that's all he really has as an arsenal. So I'd actually lean towards Tatsuya Tura in this one, to be honest with you. I think stylistically is probably a bit probably different to what Kai's, kind of used to. With fights that he wins. Steve Ercik is a very good fight to win for Kai Car France, because he's extremely basic grappler with good, very, very good boxing. He's got nice sprawls and stuff like that. But as regards, submission threat, as regards ability to hold people down, you're not looking at Steve Ercik for that. You know what I mean? You're looking at Steve Ercik to go in there and do work with his hands. And he does do work with his hands. Okay? Yes, he had extremely good moments in the grappling against Pantoja, but Pantoja won. Pantoja's grappling won the fight, period. Pantoja's grappling beat Kai Car France. Pantoja's grappling beat Royval. Beat Kai Sakura. Pantoja's grappling just levels ahead of all of these guys. And that's why he's probably, I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't like comparing Pantoja to DJ, simply because I just think Demetrius Johnson is just so skillful and so good and so much better than all these flyweights ever, to be honest with you. And that's kind of why I think Pantoja's kind of stuck at number 2 no matter what he does. Unless he goes out there and like gets double champ simultaneously and like beats a Marab, then I'll get behind it. But until then, I'm not really seeing it, bro. I'm not really seeing it. I cannot lie. Flyweight's looking good though. Flyweight is looking good. I'm happy with the way the flyweight division is landscaped at the moment. I'm really liking Pantoja's champ, but he just doesn't really chat that much shit. But I think he's hella entertaining. I think he's one of the best champions that we've ever seen, if I'm being honest with you. I love Pantoja, bro. I could watch this guy fight all the time. He is got weakness in his striking, which I thought Kai might be able to maneuver around here and there, especially with his overhand. But it was light work. It was absolute light work, bro. Kai Car France looked like a fish out of fucking water against fucking Pantoja on that ground. And I'm happy Pantoja won, because I would not have liked seeing Kai with the belt, because he just did not deserve to be there. Okay. If he had beaten like a Royval, like I said, a Moreno, even like a Van and then a Tura on the way up, then it would have been like fair. But the fact you lost to Armel Abazi and you beat Steve Erster coming off a loss to Pantoja and just sat out and waited. I don't know. It just didn't. It didn't really sit with me that he should be the champ. Or I would not have looked as Kai as the best in the world. Like I hadn't seen enough, bro. I had not seen enough. And I seen enough when he lost to Pantoja. I seen enough when he lost to Pantoja. I used to love Kai Car France, but he's just so fucking cringe now. That's just so that's so cringe. I mean, he goes like that as well, bro. No, like stop, man, stop it. Get some help. I get it's their culture and whatever the fuck, but I just think that shit's so cringe. I'm not. I'm. It's so fucking cringe. But yeah, that would be a good one. I'd love to see it. Next up, Dan Hooker versus Benil Dariush. Long time coming. Long time coming, you could say. I thought this fight was going to happen many, many years ago when he beat who was it? He beat someone on the fucking Izzy Pereira card. It'll come to me, but he called him out and he was like, Benil Dariush was a dance partner. Now that excites me. And what he still has one of the best call outs ever. Dustin Poirier, I'm gonna smash your face in. That is one that is one of the fucking best call outs ever, bro. But fucking Benil Dariush beat Moicano, bro. What a fucking snake. We all hate Benil Dariush. We all hate Dariush simply because of what he did to Tony. Well, I fucking Moicano. I just could not believe he lost that fight. I could not believe he lost that fight. As regards Dan Hooker, Dan Hooker's coming off a nice win to Mateus Gamrot, so he is kind of like the odd man out in the division. Okay, now to be fair to Dan Hooker, he is kind of like sitting up there saying he's kind of the only one that's saying he will fight Arman Tsarukyan, which you have to respect the way the landscape of the division is going. I'm just going to check something here. But the way the landscape is going, I really respect it. And especially since like the champion is Ducky and Arman at this point, I don't even care what anyone says. I've made videos on it. Go look into it yourself. He does not want to fight Arman Tsarukyan. Paddy Pimblett, just made a fucking TikTok on him, lad. I'm Shane. I want to fight Arman, lad. I want to fight for the belt. That was an awful last impression all day. I don't want to fight Arman, lad. I'm Shane. Me and hand sanitizer need to get it on, lad. I'm Shane's history, lad. Let's fucking go, mates. That's more like it. So I feel like Hooker versus Dariush makes a lot of sense. Now, Dariush isn't exactly in a great position, okay? Because he's in his last 3 fights, he's won 1 against Moicano and lost 2. And he's got finished in the first round against both of them. By Arman, by Charles. Hooker is in a lot better of position. Dan Hooker is in a way better position. Okay, beating Mateus Gamrot, who was like, ranked number 4 or 5 at the time, instantly just absolutely skyrocketed him back up to the top 5. Now, I don't think Dan Hooker was going to beat Justin Gaethje. I would have absolutely loved to have seen it. That would have been, oh man, just even thinking about that fight now. I can't. That's kind of one of the ones that got away. You know what I mean? Now he did beat Jalen Turner as well. Let's not forget he beat Jalen. Oh, what a fucking scrap that was! But Jalen Turner, man, Jalen Turner. I need to make a TikTok on him about how he's the biggest waste of potential the UFC has ever fucking seen, bro. It was ridiculous. Why did you have to retire? Why are you so bad? Why can't you be good? I wanted you to win. I wanted Jalen Turner to win, bro, but he's fucking shit, that guy. But yeah, I don't know. The way the landscape of the division goes, I thought that, Hooker might get like a Holloway. I thought Hooker Holloway was an option. I genuinely did. I thought Hooker versus Gaethje could have been a rebooking. But I genuinely thought they were going to do Arman versus Hooker. I thought they were going to do that. And I thought they were going to do Gaethje versus fucking Pimblett. In the meantime, so we can get a number one contender. But nobody is fucking fighting, bro. No one is fighting at lightweight. Arman's sitting out saying he wants to fight for the belt. Paddy's sitting out, he kind of wants to fight for the belt. I feel like Paddy Pimblett, though, you put a fucking thing in front of him, a contract in front of him. I think Pimblett's the only one who's signing. I think Pimblett's the only person who's going to sign the contract. I don't, Gage should be, no, I'm not signing that. They owe me a title shot, exhibition fight against Holloway. They owe me a title shot. No, they fucking don't. They don't owe you fucking shit for getting fucking slept badly and then you beat Fiziev on 1 week's notice. But the thing is, I'll be honest with you, they're going to give it to Gaethje. They're going to give it to Gaethje and fucking ruin the sport doing shit like that. And I'll tell you why it ruins the sport. I know it's going a bit off topic, but the amount of fighters that are going to look at that and sit there and say, Right, I'll just sit down and wait. Gaethje did it. Fans like me. I'm entertaining. Fans want to see me fight. I don't need to earn it. But if you say no to Gaethje, that's setting an example. The UFC just don't set examples anymore. Like, I'll actually be just more disappointed than angry if Gaethje fucking gets booked. Now, I will make a whole 20-minute rant video going on about how fucking shit it is. But if the UFC book Gaethje, I'm just going to be disappointed because you're just laying the law. You need to lay down the law, I should say. You're just laying down shit that's just going to spread. People are not going to fight, bro. People are not going to fight. And listen, I feel like Strukin, pen on paper, you give him a Paddy Pimblett title. I see everyone saying book Paddy Pimblett versus Armin Strukin. Don't fucking book that fight, because if you book that fight, you have to give it to Gaethje, and we don't want to see that. But as regards Hooker versus Dariush, stylistically, I'd pick Dan Hooker to beat Beneil Dariush. I think he'd be a bit too much at range. I saw decent takedown defense later on in the fight against Mateus Gamrot, who's a way more forward pressure wrestler than Beneil Dariush. Dariush definitely has good control. Hooker's very rangy. He's got those long limbs. He's got good teeps. He's got good front kicks. So I could definitely see Hooker getting it done. I could see Beneil Dariush maybe kind of nicking rounds with the grappling. Hooker maybe not being able to get started with the range and then just kind of fall short towards kind of the end of the round and stuff like that. But I'm not 100% backing that. But that'd be a sick fight. I'd actually like to see that fight. I went on a bit of a lightweight rant there, but I feel like Hooker would be able to keep at range. I don't really rate Dariush's striking. I don't really rate his chin. He definitely got, taking the time off and the year out definitely improved him as a fighter. But I feel like Hooker's out a year as well, though. That's the thing. That is the thing, and he's coming off a broken hand. To be fair, as soon as Dan Hooker was able to fight, Dan Hooker tweeted, fucking get me in there. Get me in there now. I want to fight anyone and everyone. I don't give a fuck, which is what I love. I love that. So I picked Dan Hooker in that fight. But last but not least, Rainer the Ritter versus Sean Strickland. Now, I was away on holidays last week, so that's why I didn't talk about that whole event. But Rainer the Ritter, I edged it. I gave Rainer three rounds. I can't remember which rounds I gave him off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But Whittaker nearly laid him the fuck out as well. So that shit was like mad close. But I feel like this is the correct fight to make. I know a lot of people, you could argue Strickland versus, it's kind of like a triangle. You kind of mix and match whatever you kind of want, but I feel like the Ritter kind of needs to fight upwards of the rankings now, to be honest with you. Obviously, we have Imavov versus Brauho next, which is an number contender fight. I feel like we can all agree on that, which is a fucking banger fight. I'm really looking forward to that. It's in like 3-4 weeks, that fight, which is fucking sick, but where was it going? Yeah. I feel like the Ritter deserves to kind of fight up the rankings. I don't really feel like the Ritter deserves to fight one spot up. I feel like the Ritter's kind of earned that spot now. I feel like regardless of where Whittaker is, unless he's kind of like on a 3 or 4 fight loss streak, I feel like Robert Whittaker still holds like a massive amount of value in the division. Okay, especially since he beat Paulo Costa like a year and a half ago or something like that, and Costa looked very good the other day. Now, I know Whittaker is coming off loss to Hamzat. It is a talking point. But Hamzat's fighting for the belt now. So you have to also consider that as well. Like, the guy who just lost to Whittaker is fighting for the belt. So, or just beat Whittaker, I should say, is fighting for the belt. So I feel like the higher you can go with this, the better for the Ritter. Adesanya versus Strickland as well is a fight that a lot of people kind of want to see as well. But I feel like the Ritter versus Strickland's a banger fight. Very, very awkward stylistic fight. Would lean towards Strickland in that. I would lean towards Strickland, and I don't really like Sean Strickland at all. I think he's a fucking idiot, but I feel like Strickland would actually beat the Ritter in that scrap. I'll be genuinely honest with you here. I feel like people like Whittaker have hard times with forward pressure fighters. They like Izzy's kind of like a bit different. Izzy does a bit better with forward pressure fighters because he's very good with his counters. But Whittaker's kind of movement, where he kind of jumps in at you moving forward and lands combinations, I wouldn't say it's like similar to Dominic Cruz, but you can kind of see a resemblance in some way. You can kind of see a resemblance in some way. So I feel like Whittaker's moving forward. So it's better when people are on the back foot compared to when he's on the back foot. He can't really land on the back foot as well as when he can. Now, he does have good movements where he can land some strikes on the back foot, but it's not as effective as when he's moving forward. We saw that in like the Vittori fight. We saw that in like the Cannonier fight. We saw that in the Till fight, that he's a forward pressure kind of fighter. And then when you fight someone like Dricus, who's going to get in your face, you can't really get going. Do you know what I mean? And as much as he looked good against the Ritter and was able to find shots, the Ritter's forward pressure gave him problems. And I feel like he even said that in the post-fight press conference. He was like, his pressure was a lot. His pressure was a lot. And fair play to him for acknowledging that. And I feel like Strickland is quite, I'm going in your face and I'm fucking punching you and slapping you up until you break. Strickland's a former champion somehow. Okay, got Adesanya very well. Don't know, that was one of the biggest mindfucks ever, that fight. But he picked up Adesanya, pieced him up. Couldn't defend the belt. Ran into Dricus, got shut down by Dricus in the second fight. So I feel like Strickland's on that kind of momentum now, where he's going to need at least two. He's going to need at least two to go in there and fight for the belt. And a Reigner de Ritter is an extremely good step in the right direction. This is literally the perfect fight that Sean Strickland can come back to, apart from like an Izzy rematch, which you never know how a fight like that could go. I'd be more confident in him, I don't know. I think Strickland beats the Ritter. I think Strickland would beat the Ritter. I just think Strickland would get in his face and he wouldn't allow this kind of forward pressure to really affect him, because he's going to throw a lot of jabs and kind of teep kicks. And it would be a kind of, I don't know if it would be a boring fight. The Ritter would definitely use his grappling a lot, but I do think Strickland has good takedown defense. The Ritter can land on Strickland though, but I don't think the Ritter has good at striking as Dricus. I feel like a lot of people would look at Strickland versus fucking the Ritter and think, oh, this is just another Strickland versus Dricus. You would be wrong, because Dricus is, bro, it's I don't even know, man. It just doesn't even make sense. But Drake is by accident. Drake is by fucking accident, bro. Honestly, middleweight's just shambles, isn't it? Middleweight's shambles, isn't it? Like, honestly, you have the Ritter and fucking Dricus at the top of the sport. It doesn't make sense. Let's hope Hamzat wins and restores some order. But we got some good ones to look forward to. We got the belt now in like 2-3 weeks. I think it's less than 2 weeks now, which is fucking sick. We got Imavov versus Brauho. We've got Adesanya still at the top. We need Strickland booked. I think the Ritter's the perfect fight to make. Matchmaker Monday, episode 16. Let me know what you thought down below. Thanks for watching as always. I'm trying to get this shit popping, baby. Let's go.